this was one of my Pittsburgh next up was one of my top drafts after the elite group. And this was one of your top 5 best drafts. So this was another situation I was mentioning before where we definitely agreed with. And taking a look, first of all, we talked about Broderick Jones and the move to go up and get him because we were a little bit concerned that Pittsburgh was going to be satisfied with their offensive tackles. But look, they, unlike some other GMs or coaches, they were like, all right, well, we made a mistake. These guys are not starters. They're not going to get us where we need to go. So let's make a move. And they did. And they got Broderick Jones. Got to love the fact to get Joey Porter. We all know the connections. To get him in the second round was awesome. And then when you take a look at it, we talked a lot about Benton's, what kind of talent he could bring to a defense and his position and his, unique skill set. To get Darnell Washington in the third round at pick 93 was awesome. And for me, that was really all I needed to see were those first 4 draft picks to make this an excellent draft.
Yeah, completely agree. I think their top 4 is as good as any top 4 in the draft, including guys that traded up or guys that had 2 first-round picks. Because I had Porter as a first-round caliber player. He was my best available player, I believe, or second best player available after round 1. I love Broderick Jones. I love the fact that they traded up for him. Like you said, I love the fact that they knew that their tackles were okay. They actually played well down the stretch, but it wasn't good enough. And they made the trade up. They gave a 4th. First time they've taken a first-round tackle since 1996. And that means something from a franchise, from an organization that they really have a template that does not change. There's not a lot of turnover in the coaching staff, not a lot of turnover in the front office. So that means something to me. Quick story on him at the 2022 Pro Day. Okay. Mike Tomlin took all their defensive guys out to dinner the night before the Pro Day. Quay Walker, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, right? And he asked them, what's one guy we should have on our radar for next year? And they all unanimously said, Broderick Jones. He's going to be the best pro. And that was before he really broke out in 2022. So he's got a lot of respect from that Georgia program, players, coaches alike. And this might be the best tackle that they've had in a long time. And I think he's going to be he's still raw. He's young. I think they call him a diaper dandy. He's going to be a week 1 starter for this team.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And they'll play the best 5 linemen, so they might move Dan Moore inside. I could see that happening if they feel he can still play above some of the other interior options that they have.
Well, but really, because we talked about this, they did such a good job making sure that they had their interior set. Those 2 free agent pickups were very smart. And so they're now with Jones at left that they can go, okay, we may still be and right tackle, you can be okay. As long as everybody else is good, you can be okay at right tackle. And now Moore can kind of like be that, that kind of tandem almost where we're going to be like, okay, but at least if this guy's hurt, we've got another okay guy.
Yes. They're if Broderick Jones works out, their top 3 tackles are better than most top 3 tackles in the league. You could say that Dan Moore is not a good starter, but he's a very good swing guy. So that's kind of like where he sits. And that's where I kind of projected him coming out of Texas A&M. So that kind of panned out. But the Benton and Porter, the Big Ten defenders that they took on day 2 in the second round, just such Steelers to me. It just kind of, again, this is why I like the Steelers draft. They don't change year to year. They're always competitive. Kenny Pickett needs to be the guy that's going to dictate where their future is. But, getting Porter in the second round, the tools are obvious. But this kid is also mentally, he's there too. He's very acute. He's smart. He knows ball. He asks a lot of the right questions. You saw vast improvement from 21 to 22 when it comes to his technique. You saw the penalties come down a lot. So you love that about him. Ignore the lineage for now. It's kind of a cool story, but as a player, this guy is a really high-quality player. Benton, another Steelers-type defensive lineman, they were really impressed with his conditioning. He played 80 to 85% snap count at Wisconsin. That's a very high number. He's not going to have to do that in Pittsburgh, but just the fact that he can do that at a high level, he improved as a pass rusher over the course of 2-3 years. At the very least, he's going to be your typical run defender that can man two gaps in that scheme. And then Darnell Washington, one of the best values of day two. They traded up. They gave a fourth for him. He joins Pickens and Broderick Jones, former Georgia Bulldogs. Very different player than Freiermuth. So this is yet another team that you're seeing. They're going to have two tight ends on the field a lot.
And that's like having another tackle too.
Yes. I mean, there are coaches that have told me he's a better blocker than some linemen in the NFL. And, this is just another team, analytics, if you get into it, some of the most efficient passing games come from 12 personnel, two tight ends on the field. And now this is yet another team that has added this to the mix. It's a theme that we're seeing a lot of teams do now.
Yeah, because if Broderick Jones works out and really plays well, you can have Washington on the right side, and you're now doubling up that side of the field where, our worst lineman possibly, now I'm alongside him. So,
right.
It's a smart move all the way around, and exactly what we thought that was possible as far as going into the draft, that to expect. So they did that. They took care of the offensive line. The thing that they did not do, take a look at the at the secondary and at safety. That was the only spot that is a little bit of a concern potentially. Also, what do you think they're going to do at nickel?
Good question. I mean, it's probably going to be Arthur Millette.
But that's still a problem then.
I could see Peterson even shifting inside to nickel if Akello Weatherspoon can kind of man one of the outside spots. Okay. If that's if they want to go in that direction. I was most surprised they didn't add. I mean, I know they traded for Allen Robinson and they have Calvin Austin coming off the injury, but I just thought they were going to add another back or receiver simply because that's what they do every single year in the draft. Yes. They always do it, and they didn't do it this year. I was a little confused why. So that was one thing that kind of caught my attention, that this team has made a habit of.
Yeah, because if something happens to Najee Harris, that is a big drop-off.
Yeah, Jaylen Warren is a fun player to watch. And Anthony McFarland, I loved him coming to Maryland. He has not worked out. So, and Najee Harris doesn't have the cleanest medical history either. He's tough. But, I wish they had opportunities to add another running back. And they didn't even add one in the free agency period either. I love the cool, family story. Once again, Nick Herbig, outside linebacker from Wisconsin. His brother, Nate Herbig, backup guard, signed with them this offseason. That's kind of a cool story to follow.
By the way, Herbig, because we talked about them needing another edge rusher, because you never know whether or not they're going to be able to resign Alex Highsmith. And what do you think about Herbig?
I had a day 3 grade on him, so it's not bad value. He's not the guy that I want rushing the passer. Okay. Opposite of Watt. If he's my number 3, I'm okay with it. But I don't see him ever being a Highsmith type. And we projected Highsmith out of Charlotte. We had him at East West Shrine in 2020, and we all said this kid's going to be a starter at some point. They take him in the 3rd round. That's a starter caliber grade when you take someone in the 3rd round. Herbig, I don't see it. I see a guy he's just a little too undersized and not powerful enough for me. Highsmith, similar measurables, was a lot more powerful and did play a little heavier as well. So I don't think they're done at outside linebacker in terms of long-term future.